Good day, my name is John Hart, and in this module I'll be guiding you through the process of creating an Eikon bond calculator flex document, which will enable you to perform calculations on a variety of different bond instruments. The bond calculator flex document which we create will support calculations for 4 different types of bonds. The bond types are fixed rate bond, floating rate note, inflation linked bond, and convertible bond. I think you will find the process of creating this document to be a straightforward one, and by the time we are done creating the document, we will have a tool which capably supports a day-to-day workflow from an analytics perspective. So let's get started. To begin, let's take a look at the main elements that will comprise the process of creating our Eikon bond calculator flex document. First, we'll touch upon how to create the flex document. Next, we will look at adding the calculators to frames in the flex document. After that, we will take a look at adding a quote list and linking that quote list to calculator in the flex document. And finally, we will have a look at saving the flex document to Thomson Reuters drive. So to begin creating our flex document with bond calculators embedded in it, we're going to go to the File menu and choose New Flex Document. From this flex sample screen, we're going to choose this 4-quadrant flex sample here. I'm just going to adjust the dividers between the quadrants for the frames in the flex document. The next step is to start adding calculators to each of the frames. I'll go ahead and click Add Calculator here. And let me maximize for a moment this first frame so we can see that we have a calculator menu with a variety of different categories of calculators. In this case, I'm going to choose Bond Calculator. And I'm going to restore this frame back down to the smaller size by hitting the Maximize Restore button. I'm going to continue doing the same for each of the other frames in our flex document. Click Add Calculator, then Bond Calculator. Once again, the lower left frame, Add Calculator, and then Bond Calculator. And our final quadrant, Add Calculator and Bond Calculator. So now that we have each of the frames populated with a calculator, we can begin populating each of the frames with an instrument in order for a calculation to take place. In the first upper left quadrant, I'm going to use the search function, and I'm going to choose to search on fixed income, government, and corporate. And from the search parameter screen, I'm just simply going to put in my ticker, for which in this case I'm going to use the symbol HOT for Starwood Hotels and Resorts, and click Search. Now that I have my search results, I'm going to choose this first bond which comes back in my return list. This is the 7 7/8 of October 2014. I'm going to go ahead and click on that first link in the first line, and I'm going to choose a price source of FINRA, which is trace eligible bond. And we can see, after having chosen that the bond defaults will start to populate into the calculator itself. I'm going to maximize so we can see more of the calculator. And we can see we have a variety of different tabs: main, cash flows, scenario analysis, ZC curve for zero coupon curve, trade ticket, etc. and so forth. So let me go back and minimize this particular frame. Now I'm going to use the search function again here in the upper right quadrant. In this case, I'm going to search for JP Morgan bond. I'm going to use the same process as I did before: fixed income, government, and corporate. I'm going to use the ticker JPM for the JP Morgan, and I'm going to actually select a coupon equal to 4.25%, and I'm going to hit search. Now I happen to be looking for a maturity date of 2023 in this case, so I'm going to scroll down my list of 4.25 bonds, and here's the one that I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and click on the link for that. Again, I'm going to choose FINRA, a trace eligible bond here. And once again, we can see that the calculator populates this time with a floating rate note as opposed to the fixed rate bond for the Starwood Hotels. Just to maximize this for a moment, we have similar, if not the same, tabs available to us here. I'm going to minimize this again. I'm going to do something a little bit different down here with my inflation-linked bond. I'm going to go ahead and press the F4 key, which brings up a quote window. In this case, for the last bond that we happen to search for, the JP Morgan 4 1/4 bond. In this case, what I'm going to do is actually type in a speed guide page. Speed guides are just quick ways of getting access to different content within the system. And I'm going to type in benchmarks and hit enter. And I have a variety of benchmarks which appear here and grouped by region and country. What I want to do is go down to United States TIPS, or Treasury Inflation Protected Securities. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this particular link, and I'm going to double click on the 5-year TIP. So in this case, I have my code here, which I've gotten by using the speed guide. I'm going to use that, copy and paste that into my enter an instrument ID field, and then hit the return key or enter key. And we can see we have an inflation-linked bond in this particular quadrant. I'll go ahead and close this quote window. And last but not least, I'll do my convertible bond. I'll go ahead and use the search here again. Go back to fixed income, government, and corporate. I know that I'm looking for an Intel bond, so I'm going to use the Intel ticker here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on search. And I know that the coupon I'm looking for is a 2.95% coupon for the convertible bond, so I'll go ahead and click the link for that particular security. I'm going to choose evaluated price, which is evaluated by the Thomson Reuters pricing group. And we can see that we now have a convertible bond showing in this final pane. If I go ahead and maximize, we can see we have some different tabs here, but similar to the other instruments we populated in the other calculators, we have a variety of tabs which we can choose from. The next step in the creation of our bond calculator flex document is to add a quote list to the flex document so that we can basically double-click an instrument identifier and have the calculator immediately reflect which instrument it is we're double-clicking, and have the calculator show those parameters for that particular bond. If I go ahead to the far left side of my flex document and I put my cursor right on the very edge of the frame, and I left-click and hold down, I'm going to drag in and have another frame to the left of my Starwood Hotels and Resorts fixed rate bond calculator, and I'm going to choose to add a quote list. Now what I can do is go ahead and search for a particular quote list that exists already. I'm going to type in global because I know that there is a quote list of Colombian global benchmark bonds. I'm going to go ahead and double click on that, and I see I have my list of securities here in this Colombian globals, as I mentioned. So what I want to do now is go ahead and link this list of securities to my fixed rate bond calculator. So the way I do that is to go ahead and hold down Control L, and I can choose which calculator I want to link to. And I'm going to go ahead and choose Advanced Link, and I'm going to select the option that says when I double click a quote list item, use it for calculation, and click OK. So now that I've done that, I will, for example, take this Colombian 5-year global, double click it, and we can see, if I maximize the calculator, that this now reflects that particular Colombian 5-year security. Let me go ahead and minimize that again, and I'll in this case choose the 20-year global. And we can see, again, once I maximize, that we've got the 20-year security. So the benefit of adding these quote lists is to just quickly be able to link to a calculator once we've populated the instruments in our quote list, and not have to enter in a particular security ID or search for it, etc. We already have them linked, so we can promptly get the information we need from the calculator. The final step we need to take in order to subsequently retrieve this flex document with the bond calculators and the quote lists put into it is to save the document. We can see right now, if I look at the tab title here, that this particular document is titled Blank 4 Frames. What we want to do is go to the File menu, select Save, and we have a standard File Save dialog What I want to point out in this case is the Thomson Reuters drive. I'm going to save my document here because if I need to access this file from other computers other than the local drive stored on my particular computer I'm using right now, I can retrieve it from the Thomson Reuters drive from a variety of different computers. So I'll go ahead and select that as my option. I'm going to simply name this bond calculator Flex and go ahead and click Save. We can now see the title has changed to Bond Calculator Flex, and we can proceed to work with the file as we need to change the securities both within the quote list and of course the calculators. Now that you have had an opportunity to view how one goes about creating a Flex document and populating that document with bond calculators, as well as securities to be used in those bond calculators, let's review the steps you need to take in order to do so. The first step is to click on the File menu, and from that menu choose New Flex Document. Next, from the Flex Samples screen, choose the Flex sample that you wish to use. Next, click the Add Calculator button in each of the Flex document frames. Next, from the calculator menu that appears, click on Bond Calculator. Repeat this step for as many frames as you have in your Flex document. Next, by using the search function or by dragging and dropping from a quote window, or by directly entering a security identifier in the field to the right of the text which says Enter an Instrument ID, load the security upon which you want this calculator to perform its calculations. Continue to use the procedure in the previous step in order to load different securities into a given calculator. If you wish to, you can add a quote list to your Flex document and link that quote list to one or more calculators in order to be able to simply double-click a security and have it immediately loaded into the calculator.